lovelies, this is Blossom and I'm back again. I'm still in the cold in the forest, but I thought I'm not freezing yet, so I'm gonna do another video. And yeah, so last lesson was about the fairy guide, meeting your fairy guide. Let me know how that went. Did you had any experiences? Did you had any success in meeting your fairy guide? I would really love to hear from you. Now for this lesson, we talk about the dangers in fairy, and with everything I say now, it is of course possible that everything is superstition. It is written in folklore, but how do you take it? What do you take from it? That is up to you in the end. Now, the first thing that is said is not to call them fairies, but it's better to call them good neighbors, fair folk, shining ones, and good house guests is also something. I have more in the text if you want to read that. And there is a Scottish poem that says, if you call me imp or elf, I counsel you, look well to yourself. If you call me fairy, I work you great misery. If good neighbor you call me, then good neighbor I will be. But if you call me seely white, I be your friend, both day and night. Sorry. And there we can see already. So good neighbor and seely white is a good expression for them. And I like to call them good neighbors, especially my garden good neighbors. I call them fairies for this course. I call them fairies in videos or when I write about them, because nobody knows what a good house guest is, right? So I call them, but if you address them, it is said you should call them differently. Now another topic is food. So never to take or accept food that is offered to you in fairy, because it will bound you to the fairy realm. And we can also see there's a poem, The Goblin Market by Christina something. I have that in the text as well. Christina something. I don't remember. However, you can find that in the text. So read The Goblin Market. You can find that online. And there you see a bit how the problem is with food. However, in Celtic tradition, hospitality was very important, and so I would personally see it as rude not to accept food. I cannot tell you too much, but I never had a bad experience with it, so I'm saying. And we can see already more people going back from that statement, and even R.J. Stewart in his book The Well of Light, I think he wrote that it's actually rude not to accept the food, or that it's a gift that you are missing out. I think that's how he wrote it. And yeah, so choose for yourself. Do you accept food? Don't you? Maybe ask your fairy guide if you trust him. Just saying. So that is the topic about food. Then we also have the topic about changelings. But this is something that that evolved more post-Christian era, in the post-Christian era. So changelings, we'll talk a bit more about that in the written lesson again. It's just, when they took babies and left a changeling, one of their own kind, and they always got ill and sick, or even died. So it was said it's a fairy changeling. Personally, for me, this is really superstition, but that's up to you, your choice. And then it is also said that they really like to play with words. So fairies really are masters at this, to play around with the words. And it is also said that they never lie, but they are good with the wordplay. So you should be a bit careful about that. And everything may seem sometimes like a riddle as well. But you have to be careful about always to be honest. If you are good at wordplay, they will appreciate that, but never lie. always be honest with them. There are some characteristics that they really appreciate, and this is generosity, politeness, cheerfulness, a sense for adventure, and cleanliness. So this is something I didn't mention yet. I think they really like when everything is clean and tidy. So also your house, if you have a house fairy, a brownie, or any kind of house elf in your at your home, then it's important to keep it nice, clean, tidy. They really, really enjoy that. They appreciate that. And sometimes it is also said, when things start to get missing, you lose your stuff. Maybe this is a reminder from your house elf, fairy, brownie, to a reminder to tidy up a little bit. Then we also have to talk shortly about promises. So never make a promise if you can't keep it. You will anger them if you do that. Or so it is said. But I guess so. I would be angry. So never make any promises or take any oath if you are not 100% sure that you can keep them. Then something else that is very important to them is their privacy. So they don't like to be observed or watched when they are somewhere in the forest and you just watch them secretly. They don't appreciate that. And also they have their they don't like when you trespass their lands. And when you are out in the forest, for example, or wherever, and you feel a certain place, you feel unwelcome, well, then trust this feeling. It might be the fairies who don't want you there. Now, when we come to the topic of privacy, it is also said that, mostly it's advised that you shouldn't share your own experiences with the good neighbors. With publicly, not with, but publicly. And I agree with this. I don't share my own experiences very much. I don't share a lot here on YouTube what my actual experiences with them are. I just go more into the let's put some facts together, or whatever facts are in fairy. And I shared a few encounters with them on my homepage in the written text, but also because I know that not many actually read the text, so it feels safe to share there, and also not too much, and especially the good stuff you shouldn't share. So if you have a really rewarding encounter with them, you shouldn't brag about that and share publicly. So it is said. Then it's also said not to say thank you to them. Some say because it's dismissive to them, and others say because you admit that you owe them something, and this is not always a good thing with fairy. So I like to, if I want to thank them, I tell them that I appreciate it and I thank it with an offering, not the actual word thank you. What happened now? So I just got all comfy. I had to go because my cart was full. So we covered the thank you part. And let's come to what you need to protect yourself if necessary, if it ever becomes necessary to protect yourself from fairy. So iron is the most well-known protection against fairies. It is said they cannot handle it, or they have some kind of problem with it. This actually comes still from the Tuatha De Danann, and it is said because they still had their bronze weapons and they were driven under the hill, as you know, and by people with iron weapons. So we will have a closer look at that in the lesson again. So you can wear an iron nail, or you have a horseshoe over your doorways. So that is something you can do to protect yourself, or have some kind of iron, whatever it is, a knife maybe under your bed. That's how you can protect yourself. Then we also, it is also said that bells protect from evil fairies, especially church bells. But again, we see again how church plays a role in it. So you have to see for yourself if that's the thing. I was just thinking that I still wear my beanie. There's a reason behind that. You know what I mean. Then herbs. It is said that St. John's wort is protective, and also yarrow, but also rowan berries and broom is protective against fairies. However, that depends on the tradition or on the region, because rowan berries or the rowan tree can also be a fairy tree, a well-beloved fairy tree. And broom, sometimes it is also said that especially broom attracts the fairies, and if you have broom planted near your house, that it will invite the fairies. And in other folklore texts, it is said that it protects against the fairies. So there you have the contradiction again, and you will come across that many times, especially if you want to do a bit more research on your own, what herbs and plants can protect you against the fae. Then it is also said, whenever you are pixie led, we talked about that. I told you a story about that in the text. So whenever you are pixie led, you should or to protect yourself from being pixie led, better, to wear your jacket inside out. There we go. This is how. So I want to, I would love you to do a bit of your own research about what else is protective. Maybe you live in an area where there are different things that protects against them. So let me know. I would love to hear from you. And then with all that being said, like I mentioned, the changelings, how evil they can be. Then we talk about Seelie and Unseelie court, but you know that I don't see it as black and white. And when you look a lot into the folklore, it is actually very dangerous to connect with a fairy, right? Why would you even do it? Sometimes when you read those things, you ask yourself, why would I even do it? It's too dangerous, right? But you know that I don't agree with everything. And Ellen Sentier, I don't know how it is pronounced, Ellen Sentier, in her book Ellen of the Ways, or Treading the Reindeer, I will have it in the text again. In her book, she says, and I quote, "This attitude of fear is something of an arrogant and self-absorbed one. Do you really think the beings of Otherworld have nothing better to do than hang around playing tricks on you and making life a misery? Of course not. They are busy looking after the world, the universe, and everything. Humans are only a small part of what they do." So, what do you think about that? I would love to know your opinion on this. I have to say I fully agree with that. It makes more sense to me than fairies are going to eat you alive. I think we will be, whenever there is, when they don't want to connect with us, they will ignore us. Except when we go really crazy now, like destroying their realm now all willy-nilly, I think then we will have consequences. But if we are respectful and we respect their privacy and we enter the realm with common sense, I don't believe that we are in danger, really. But I would love to know if you ever had any bad experiences, and then what do you think about the sharing? So you would, of course, not tell me if you're not allowed to share, right? Or how do you, because I see it with the sharing, you know, we can share a little bit, but not necessarily publicly. But I you know, like with people who are like-minded, I have no problem to share these experiences. So as always, you can find a little bit more in the written lesson. Link is below in the description box. I wish you a wonderful day. Much love and many blessings, and bye-bye.